Hey everybody, I am finally here with my plans for week 2, the second semester. So we are going to be getting into the third declension adjectives starting on page 82 of the purple book. So basically what I have here is what we're going to cover today is lesson 8.1, adjectives of the third declension, and lesson 8.2, adjectives governing cases. So I will probably already have all of this up on the board, just exactly like this. And we will start by making observations about what do we have here. And it will take them a little bit because this is totally new. They won't necessarily know that these are adjectives. We've been very familiar with the fact usually when we have one word and an ending that's a noun, but these are not genitive singular endings. So we're going to have to take a little time to discover what those could be. So anyway, clearly they're adjectives because that's what the lesson is on. So we will walk through those and talk a little bit about the meanings of the words as well as some English derivatives and words that we all know and are familiar with. So we will read through this together as a class and then spend some time observing the rule. I believe it's grammar number 78. So they will pull out their little blue books and have this right here, and everybody will have already had this highlighted. I usually post that on our community Challenge A Facebook page where I post the pictures and they get it highlighted before they come to class. That gives them an opportunity to preview the material and to be prepared for conversation. So anyway, we will spend some time just making some observations about this and honestly comparing it to third declension over here on our third declension chart. So we will identify the places where things are different. Now, I kind of have them circled here in yellow. I don't know if you can tell, but the book has them underlined. These are really hard to see because it's a tiny little underline. But these are based off of Rule 57, Rule 64, except for the yellow. The things that they have underlined, those are variations. One thing I'm going to want them to notice is that the masculine and feminine are identical, so they won't really have to learn anything new there. And then over here, when we have the neuter, again, remember in the plural, the nominative and accusative typically have an A. So that sort of shows up in the other declensions as well. This is our neuter declension here. We have a neuter declension here. Of course, this is a little different because there's an I as well. So anyway, we will spend some time taking a look at that, and I'm going to have it on the board so that I can point as they are looking at it in the book. So the next thing that this has right here in the textbook is it goes into this exercise 95 with all of these bits and pieces. So I will probably pick and choose some of these, and we might start off kind of early with a game of Around the Empire to see if they can understand how to choose the correct endings. And I already have this page all worked out so that I have my easy to spot sort of answer key, something visually easy to see, so that I can throw those up on the board and see if they are getting them correct. So depending on time, we might just go ahead and practice with that a little bit to see if they can get a handle of how to find the right ending for these adjectives, because I need it to soak in a little bit before we get to this concept here. So this one is a little tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these sentences and put them on the board one at a time. Now you're going to have to pardon, I've got all the color scribble all over the place on my sample page over here. I'll show you in just a minute. But this right here, it talks about how we have these phrases that will be in the Latin, they won't have a preposition. In English, we have a preposition, but in Latin, the preposition won't be there. The other thing that's strange about these is the fact that the actual vocabulary word itself, determines the case of the object of the preposition. So kind of when we first learned prepositions way back when, if you guys remember, we learned that the prepositions in and cum gave the object of preposition an ablative singular ending. But if we had a preposition post or propter, then our object of preposition was accusative. This is kind of like that, sort of. So down here, it will tell you, and this is something you just have to memorize, that this particular adjective, the object of the preposition of the phrase it follows will automatically take the genitive case. And then these over here. One other observation I will want to make is the fact that these are first and second declension adjectives, so they will follow the first and second declension endings based on gender, and then this one is third declension. But let me walk you through these sentences, and then these are the translations down here. Let me show you what it looks like. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll take a look at the sentence, he is eager for power, and we are going to parse it. And up here in orange, we're going to get it labeled. So we have a subject, a linking verb, predicate adjective that points back to the subject. We have our prepositional phrase here for power. That would be the object of preposition. Now, I didn't label this preposition here because we aren't going to translate it in the Latin. That's what our text said for this batch of words. This preposition just naturally always follows the word eager. He is eager for something. I think it's kind of like just an idiomatic thing. So certain prepositions we just use in certain situations. So while yes, this is a prepositional phrase, we're not going to translate this one. So I'm going to cross that one out. Now, in the textbook, it said that eager for, let's find it. Eager for, right here. Or desirous of. It doesn't matter which way you translate it in the English. It says that it's going to go with the genitive. So what that means is this eager for right here is automatically going to give the object of the preposition the genitive case. So when we translate this word power into Latin, notice the genitive singular ending. Power is singular, genitive singular ending. Now this adjective is modifying this noun. If you remember, adjectives take on the ending depending on the gender. So we need to come over here and look at the noun. Because it's a masculine, technically I know it's a pronoun, but because it's masculine, we are going to use a masculine ending for eager. Now this noun or pronoun is in the nominative singular, so we need to go to the nominative singular masculine endings. And eager, we'll come back over here. Here it is right here. It is a usa that means it's first, second declension. All right. So when I translate it, cupidus, because this is a masculine word in the nominative singular, I'm going to use the masculine nominative singular of the first and second declension right there, us. Okay? So, imperii cupidus est. Here we go right here. We're going to first parse it. Mary is full of grace. Full of, if you come over here and look, I didn't write the word of there, but it is up here somewhere. Full of, it says it can take either the genitive or the ablative. It doesn't matter which one, you get to pick. It is a first and second declension adjective. So let's come over here. This is an idiomatic phrase in English. Those two just go together, all right? But we will not translate this word into Latin. It tells us that this, oops, I'm looking at the wrong one. This right here, full of, it tells us that it takes the genitive singular or the ablative singular. So when we get our ending for the object of preposition, that's why this is underneath here. I'm going to choose either the genitive singular or the ablative singular. It doesn't matter which one. That's why that one's in parentheses down there. All right. Now, in order to determine what ending I'm going to use for full, which is plenus, I'm going to come over here. Its noun is feminine, so I'm going to use the feminine ending. The noun is also in the nominative singular, so I'm going to use the nominative singular. So if you look, we have Mary, of course, that's our nominative singular. And then plena, we need the feminine nominative singular ending. Feminine goes to this column, nominative singular ending. Last one. Here we go. We're going to parse it. Okay, again, this is our special phrase here. Next to, these two just go together in English, all right? But in Latin, we won't have a word for here, so we're going to cross it out. But next to, according to the vocabulary, it says it always takes the dative. Well, in our situation here, Gauls is plural, so we're going to use the dative plural. So when I find Gauls, there it is, dative plural. Province is feminine and nominative singular, so I'm going to have my nominative singular ending. But because next to is the adjective that points to province, we have to follow those. I'm going to use the feminine nominative singular for next to. Feminine nominative singular is the A. Notice there is the A. So one other thing here is it does say that sometimes it's used without a modifying phrase. So you may not see a prepositional phrase here. Instead of saying next to, it might be neighboring. Anyway, that's one thing to point out. So depending on time, we might try some of this in class and see how they do. But that's pretty much it. It's kind of a lot to take in, so I didn't want to go much farther than that. So I hope this all makes sense. Oh, I wanted to point this out too. I'm going to definitely have this up on the board, and we are going to identify the fact that these are the first and second declension, and that one is third declension. And then we're going to make sure that we understand this and that this is referring to that, pointing to the objective preposition that will follow this little, I guess, hidden preposition here. Anyway, y'all have a great night.